Wouldn't you want to know the difference between faith and believing? We teach them as though they're the same, but they're not. In the last lesson, I talked about Strong's 4102 pistis and how Jesus, through his documentations of what he did and his interactions, how he defined faith. Today, we're going to begin looking at Strong's 4100 pistuo. Pistuo is using and combining two Greek words, pistis, which is 4102, and pytho, which is Strong's 3982. And it's to believe, affirm, have confidence. And it's used of persuading oneself, which is human believing, but also with the sacred significance of being persuaded by the Lord, faith believing. And only the context of whether it's a belief that's self-serving or a believing that leads or proceeds from God's in-birth faith determines that. Now, this word, pistuo, shows up 244 times in the New Testament. It shows up 11 times in Matthew, 14 times in Mark, 9 times in Luke, 98 times in the book of John, and 39 times in the book of Acts. And we're going to take some time and process through this. So the first one I want to talk about is the interaction with the centurion. Now, the centurion needs Jesus or wants Jesus to heal his slave. But the interesting thing about this centurion, he doesn't actually want Jesus to come. He just wants Jesus to say it, and it's going to happen. And so it says in Matthew 8, verses 10 through 13, it says, "Now when Jesus heard this, he marveled and said to those who were following, 'Truly, I say to you, I have not found such great faith,' 4102, 'with anyone in Israel. I say to you that many will come from east and west and recline at the table with Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob in the kingdom of heaven. But the sons of the kingdom will be cast out into outer darkness. In that place there will be weeping and gnashing of teeth.' And Jesus said to the centurion, 'Go, it shall be done for you as you have believed.' And the servant was healed that very moment." The centurion believed in Jesus' authority. So in faith, he sought him out so that his servant may be healed. Now let's look at Matthew chapter 9, verses 27 through 39. It says, "As Jesus went on from there, 2 blind men followed him, crying out, 'Have mercy on us, Son of David.' When he entered the house, the blind men came up to him, and Jesus said to them, 'Do you believe,' 4100, 'that I am able to do this?' And they said to him, 'Yes, Lord.' Then he touched their eyes, saying, 'It shall be done for you according to your faith.'" 4102. Belief was in Jesus being able. Faith was in the crying out. And because of their belief in Jesus and their faith was in what he could do, what he was able. Then in Matthew 18, verses 3 through 6, it says, "And Jesus said, 'Truly I say to you, unless you are converted and become like children, you will not enter the kingdom of heaven. Whoever then humbles himself as this child, he is the greatest in the kingdom of heaven. And whoever receives one such child in my name receives me. But whoever causes one of these little ones who believe in me to stumble, it would be better for him to have a heavy millstone hung around his neck and to be drowned in the depth of the sea.'" Now, if you look at the interlinear Bible, it says, "is believing in me." But that word "in" is actually the Greek word eis, Strong's 1519. And we need to talk about this word because we read that word "in" to believe in, and we think it's to believe inside, inner believing. But let me explain to you what this preposition means literally. It's a motion into which, implying penetration unto or union to a particular purpose or result. How do we keep believing into him? That's the question people need to be answering. Then we come to Matthew chapter 21. Jesus was just talking to them about having faith and not doubting. And then we get into verses 22 through 32. The word believe or believing shows up 5 different times in this documentation. So listen to this. In all things you ask in prayer, believing. In other words, continuing to believe, you will receive. When he entered the temple, the chief priests and elders of the people came to him while he was teaching and said, "By what authority are you doing these things, and who gave you this authority?" Jesus said to them, "I will also ask you one thing, which, if you tell me, I will also tell you by what authority I do these things. The baptism of John was from what source? From heaven or from men?" And they began reasoning among themselves, saying, "If we say from heaven, he will say to us, 'Then why did you not believe him?' But if we say from men, we fear the people, for they all regard John as a prophet." And answering Jesus, they said, "We do not know." He also said to them, "Neither will I tell you by what authority I do these things. But what do you think? A man had 2 sons, and he came to the first and said, 'Son, go work today in the vineyard.' And he answered and said, 'I will not.' But afterward he regretted it and went. The man came to the second and said the same thing. And he answered, 'I will, sir.' But he did not go. Which of the 2 did the will of the Father?" They said, "The first." Jesus said to them, "Truly I say to you that the tax collectors and prostitutes will get into the kingdom of God before you. For John came to you in the way of righteousness, and you did not believe him. But the tax collectors and prostitutes did believe him. And you, seeing this, did not even feel remorse afterwards so as to believe him." They did not believe because they refused to be persuaded. They didn't believe, or they didn't want to believe in who he was, and they didn't want to believe in what he said. This was about belief in the person of John. Let's look at Jesus' words in Matthew 24, verses 23 through 26. It shows up 2 times. "Then if anyone says to you, 'Behold, here is the Christ,' or 'There he is,' do not believe him. For false Christ and false prophets will arise and will show great signs and wonders so as to mislead, if possible, even the elect. Behold, I have told you in advance, so if they say to you, 'Behold, he is in the wilderness,' do not go out. Or, 'Behold, he is in the inner rooms,' do not believe them." Both times, it's do not believe him, do not believe them. This is about believing in the person and what they said. And the last documentation that we have in the book of Matthew is from chapter 27, verse 42. And this is when Jesus is on the cross. And this is what they're saying. "He saved others. He cannot save himself. He is the King of Israel. Let him come down from the cross, and we will believe in him." However, that doesn't believe inside, but it's to believe upon. That's Strong's 1909 epi. And I need you to listen to what it means to believe upon somebody. Epi is a preposition. Improperly is to be on or upon, implying what fits given the apt contact, building upon this verbal idea of what does it mean to believe on Jesus. And it now truly looks to this response or effect that goes with the envisioned contact. It's the apt result or the spin-off or the effects. So this concludes looking at all the documentations in Matthew, and what I'm hoping is that you go look up every single one of them. And if you want to go check out what the Interlinear Bible is and what the Greek words mean, go to BibleHub.com. Look at the Interlinear Bible. Look at every single word. Don't believe me. Believe what the word says.